why do we think we're different from everybody else? Which is a good question. Crypto has promised over and over again. I remember when I was in the Bitcoin world, Bitcoin will get faster, it never got faster, right? Ethereum will get faster, it never got faster. Everyone promises, networks go out, outage.
Welcome to NFTea-Pod. The podcast delves into the journey of building project from zero to hero, and we will invite the amazing founders and experts in Web3 space to share about their amazing stories, which give a lot of valuable information and insight to other founders. I'm Queen, the host of NFTea-Pod. So today we welcome Adeniyi, the co-founder of Mysten Labs, the company behind Sui Network. Thank you, Adeniyi, for joining us today. You create the amazing impact to the Web3 space. And before this, I want to invite the listener also go through all your journey from the start. Can you give the brief for us about your journey starting and why did you start to build Sui?
Sure. Thank you for having me on the podcast. It's a pleasure to meet you again. Background about me. I was born in Nigeria, left when I was 8 with my family, when my dad went to the Great Britain to do his PhD. So I actually ended up growing most of my life in London and studied software engineering and computer engineering at University of Queen Mary in London. Then I found myself going straight into oil and gas space, building software systems for monitoring oil wells. And I took an interest in going into banking. I had enough building software and hardware for a while. I thought, let me go and build software for banks rather than building it just for these oil wells. Built risk management systems, trading systems for hedge funds and investment banks. And in 2011, I found out about technology called Bitcoin. And I initially read the white paper, found it really interesting, didn't do much about it till 2012 when I started mining Bitcoin myself. And then I accidentally fell into that world of, I fell in love with the tech. I saw that the things that we're building in the banking world was here for a while, but I think there was a value in having a global ledger that everybody can work from. I thought it would be more efficient. So I started a mining company because I was mining for myself and other people started to ask me to do that for them. And I accidentally built a business out of it. To fast forward, I moved to America because most of my customers for my cloud mining business were in America. And once I'd finished my first company, which was cloud hashing, I started up another big data blockchain company, Pianova, that's still around today. And once I'd fully vested, I went over to Oracle and VMware. At that point, I became an expert in building decentralized infrastructure, or at least on the product side. I went over to Oracle and VMware to launch 2 blockchain projects for those companies. And after that, I went over to Facebook. And Facebook at the time, working on a project called Libra. I heard about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it every single day. The idea of building this global network for the world to make sending money as easy as sending a message was just so exciting. I got headhunted by some members of a team there and interviewed, was able to get the job. Very, very lucky to work with some of the smartest people I've ever worked with in my life. And that kind of rounds up my journey. We were working on Libra for years. Libra at Facebook was a project where we're ultimately trying to build this global ledger for this entire world. It met many regulatory headwinds that did not permit it to launch. And as a result, myself and a few of my colleagues thought, well, we've built this amazing technology, we've built this amazing expertise. We think it's highly valuable to actually make it available to the world, but unfortunately, Facebook might not be the right place to see that vision come to pass. So we thought about building our own company. We looked at what everybody else had been building for years, and we felt we could do a better job. And we formed a company called Mysten Labs. And Mysten Labs' goal is to build technologies that is going to make the internet more decentralized. We felt like companies like Facebook, Google, ultimately, we've reached a point where there's a lot of mass centralization. Not that the services are bad, but we think there can be value in adding to really decouple a lot of the internet today and add a lot more value for the user as a result.
Yeah.
So our mission is to build protocols and products that make the internet more decentralized and more free for everyone to access and use. And our first product is Sui, Sui blockchain. And we've built it from day one to be scalable. Sui today is it's the fastest blockchain that exists today, but that's interesting only a little bit. But the more interesting thing is Sui doesn't have a maximum capacity. It's a blockchain truly built to take on the world. If we need to have 1 billion people accessing their money day in, day out, or accessing assets day in, day out, whether it's concert tickets, whether it's assets of value, whether it's real estate, you name it, we think the world has a ledger in Sui that make that possible. So that kind of circles my journey.
That's great. So it is mentioned that, like you also see that the mission that, let people this, using even email, this log in, and even don't need to care about private key or even what is Web3, and they can easily access to Web3. Yes. And does it happening in Sui?
Yes. It's a good point. When we were at Facebook, one of the things we wanted to achieve was something called unilateral payments. We wanted a way that I could send money to you, and you can receive that money and spend it without having to sign up to any service. Yeah. And crypto makes that difficult because crypto asks you to go and download a wallet. It adds a lot of friction that most day-to-day users will never want to do. There's also the concept of gas in crypto. So the fact that you have to pay a fee for using the network. Yes. First they say go and download the wallet. Then they say go and buy a token and pay for gas. You don't know what that means. Yeah. And in the advertising world, it's already expensive to acquire a user. So you spend money on Google Ads to acquire a user, then you tell them to go through this friction. It doesn't work. So we try to nail it at Facebook in creating this technology that allows you to onboard users without a sign-up process. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that in time. But at Mysten Labs, we made it possible. We invented a technology called ZK Login that effectively allows you to use any identity you already have as a wallet, and you're fully in control of your asset. So if you forget your email, you can reset the password and you're fine. You can use SMS as a wallet. You could use email as a wallet. You can use your Facebook account as a wallet. You can use your Twitter account as a wallet. So within that technology means now with Sui, literally all, anybody that has an email address in the world has a Sui account, is our view as a result of our technology we've invented now. So we think it's a game changer for onboarding the next billion users. I think it's going to be the most powerful way to send money in the world or to send anything of value. Imagine sending a concert ticket to your friend that you can't go, but they can. You could send it by ZK Login. It makes it easy. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to ask, what's your email address? What is your password? What is your blockchain address? You send the link and they can claim it instantly. And we think that makes crypto very useful for everybody in day-to-day life.
Yeah, imagine that this, like, for example, right now, like millions of people using Facebook, and one day this millions of people just like using like that, even this like ZK login or email and messages, and then also like can do it that way. And I think that if Sui can make it happen, it's awesome journey.
Absolutely. That's a mission. That's our goal. Yeah. We couldn't make it happen in Facebook, but we'll make it happen outside of Facebook, right? Like now every, 2.5 billion Facebook user can use their Facebook account to access assets on Sui, which is powerful. I think we're going to be doing a lot of work throughout this year and next year as well to start to grow the Sui community. I firmly believe that the Sui ecosystem will have more active users than any other blockchain by a long shot.
Why?
Because one, not everyone in the world is a degen, right? Like the degen market is very small. I think we're already showing, Sui is already the fastest growing network when it comes to DeFi. Like we're already growing, we're already showing we can do that. But most of the world will never do DeFi. But most of the world will always own assets or have some interaction with an asset that's digital. Yes. And our thesis is the world is going to go full digital. Everything you own will have a digital twin or some digital element. And by that proxy, the fact that you could use Sui with your Facebook account, the fact that you can use Sui with your email address, the fact that you could do day in, day out basic things that you want to do for digital assets on Sui, and you don't even know you're using the blockchain, I think we'll have way more users than any other chain put together. In fact, it's already showing one wallet, a Vietnamese wallet actually, called Wave, has over 1 million active users. And as they've onboarded 1 million users, we've seen the amount of transactions in DeFi and the amount of trades in DeFi go up as a result as well. Right. So we think DeFi is not the product. DeFi is infrastructure, but you bring real users into the world of Sui. And I think all those other metrics for DeFi and everything else increases as a result.
Yeah, but people are still very skeptical about crypto nowadays. They say that crypto, we do promise a lot of promises, but the delivery is still very little.
Yeah.
So how does Sui do differently? And also, like, for a lot of change, a lot of platform, after this, maybe in even this 2 or 3 years, they disappear.
Yes.
Do you see Sui network still sustainable in the next decade?
We're building a platform that's going to be here for the next 20, 30 years. Like our goal is, it's another layer for the internet. So the internet is here forever. We think Sui will be here forever. Now, why do we think we're different from everybody else? Which is a good question. Crypto has promised over and over again. I remember when I was in the Bitcoin world, Bitcoin will get faster, It never got faster, right? Ethereum will get faster, it never got faster. Everyone promises, networks go out, outage. Quite frankly, the reality is that the quality of expertise that has gone into the crypto space has not been as high as it is today. We've not had people with multiple awards in computer science, multiple awards in distributed systems computing, in crypto. The team at Mysten Labs is very unique. We have world leaders in cryptography, world leaders in distributed systems, world leaders in programming languages. We have all the disciplines that are required to build a sustainable developer platform in-house that it's never been possible before in any other chain or any other ecosystem. So this is why Sui was able to launch in 2 years, build the chain from scratch, and is already the most performing chain that exists in the market today. So when we're talking about going for 2-3 billion users, we have to have the technology that can do that. And I'm not convinced that any other network has that, right? We've already seen networks when as soon as you have, 500 concurrent users, it goes out, or the fees go through the roof, right? They're not built for scale. Whereas Sui has had more transactions in a day than most blockchains, and it was boring. Nothing happened. Everything just worked, right? Which is the way infrastructure should be. Infrastructure should be boring. You should never think about it. It should be in the background. And you should use it day in, day out. And I think it will be a world where people are using Sui and they do not know they're using Sui. They're able to trade their asset from asset A to asset B, do it instantly, and not know that they're using DeFi. They're going to be able to send a ticket for a concert from one person to another seamlessly with just a link, or with just a scan of a QR code, or we just send it by email, and it'll be done seamlessly by blockchain, and they don't even know they're using a chain. Just like when you use the internet today, you don't think what internet provider you're on or what service providers in the background. It's boring networking. And that's what Sui is going to be. It'll be boring networking, but I think the most advanced version of that.
Yes. I see that my parents, they still cannot use Web3 or create the wallets.
Yes.
They don't know how to do it because it's so difficult for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then for the younger generation, yes, because they are more tech savvy, so it's easier for them, but it's still difficult. And then, so how you can bring the mass adoption for the new generation?
We recently launched something called Stashed. Stashed is a wallet that's powered by ZK Login. We actually hate the word wallet because it's not really a wallet. It just basically uses your existing Google account, and it can register any account underneath it. Whether you use Twitch, whether you use anything else, you can effectively have an account. In fact, we have a card, an NFC card that we imprinted, this NFC card in English and Vietnamese.
Oh, cool.
That you tap onto a phone, and once you tap it onto a phone, instantly it allows you to claim ZK Login funds right away. So we think that's the way the world's going to go, where you can use existing primitives that to onboard users. The person will be greeted with a very simple user interface: sign in with Google, log in with Kakao, log in with whatever you want, and then instantly you see you have a balance. And there's no sign up, there's no onboarding process. It's really a click of a button and you're done. That's how you onboard people. They don't even know they're using the blockchain. The word blockchain is not even there. That's how you go and bring on 1 billion users. You go to where they are, and you don't expect them to try and learn something new. Most crypto today expects people to learn crypto. And only a small, like less than 0.1% of the world understand that. Our goal is different. You already have an email, you already have an account with Google, you already have an account with Facebook. You're good. You have assets right away, and that's the way it goes.
So I also join like your events, conference, and when people take photos, always like Sui, right?
Sui.
So what is the meaning? What is the story behind the name and also that?
Yeah,
Simple. Yeah.
it's a good question. When we were building the blockchain, our goal was to make sure that it had no boundaries, right? There's no limit. They shouldn't have a maximum throughput. Fees shouldn't go up and down.
Yeah.
The creativity of a developer should have no limit, no restriction. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to come up with a name that has no limit, no boundary, no restrictions. And water has no boundary, no restriction, no limit.
Be
right?
water, my friend.
Be water, right, my friend, right? And Sui is, water in Japanese, right? And that's we chose that. It actually has a lot of meaning in many languages, right? And it seems to resonate. It's a short name. It's very peaceful. It's water, easy to remember. Yeah. 3-letter words are very hard to come across and come by, but we were able to get one, and we're very, very proud about that. And it's stuck ever since. I remember when the name first came out, I hated it. Like, why Sui? And then within a week, I was calling it Sui too. And I can't imagine, what did we call that thing before? It was going to be called Fast Pay or something. I don't know what we had before, but it was the best name in the room at the time. Yeah.
So is there any philosophy, personal philosophy that you bring into Sui that really change the business strategy?
Yeah, our philosophy is always be user focused. Always know your customer. One of the things we do at Mysten is we are very obsessed with developer experience.
Yeah.
Developer has to have the best experience in building. They have to be able to build easy. They have to be able to have all the tools they need in front of them. And we're always improving on that. If you speak to people who have built on Solana or Ethereum, in fact, we had one builder who was a prominent builder or is a prominent builder in Solana ecosystem, build on Sui, and he said it's a 10x improvement on the dev experience. And Sui's winning multiple devs because of the dev experience, not because we market or grants or whatever, but because it's a better environment to build on. There are things you can build way faster, more expressively. You can onboard a lot more users using our technology than you do anywhere else. That's what we do. We know our customer, it's devs. Separately, help developers hang on and retain good users. So things like ZK login, it helps the developer onboard users without friction. Otherwise, they have to build all sorts of crazy loops to make it possible. So again, making a developer job easier and also making their ability to hold and gain and retain users easy. And that's how we win. We have to have the best developers on Sui. We believe we'll have the best products on Sui, the most differentiated products on Sui. It's a product-driven mindset to building infrastructure. And I don't think anybody else does that. People just build and they want to talk about tech all day long, but it doesn't have real applicability to the devs. Everything we do is very focused on how will the developer use it. And if we don't have a good story for it, we don't do it.
So you focus on user.
Yeah.
And then because you're also the CPO, you build the product. And then you lead the team. So in this industry, what is the product market fit to you? And then what kind of metric and indicator for you to monitor all the product?
Good question. So for us, the first customer is the developers. So we're going to care about the amount of developers that are coming into the ecosystem. But more importantly, it's how effective are developers on Sui. For example, one thing we measure is how much new code is being written in Sui. Right? Because if you look at the EVM space, Ethereum, it's hard to write smart contracts that don't have bugs. So people just copy and paste mostly and use existing libraries. In Sui, we're seeing a lot of new code being written because people can write code without worrying about bugs. Right? Lots of the normal problems you have or boiler code that you need to write in Ethereum and Solana, you don't need that in Sui. So one metric is how much new code has always been written in Sui. Separately, we care about how quickly people are learning Move. One developers are telling us right now that within 4 days they're feeling quite confident with writing a Move, which is
4 days.
Yes.
How about normally for Solidity?
It's a lot longer. Like no matter how hard you try, you still end up getting bugs in Solidity, right? We see $100 million hacks all the time. We're going to see $1 billion hack eventually. It's just fundamentally hard to write smart, safe code in these platforms. Sui was built from day one to be a developer-friendly platform to write safe code. That was the goal, and it's met that goal. Another thing we look at is adoption, right? It's great to have 1,000 apps, but it doesn't matter if these apps can't retain users. So what we think about is, okay, how many wallets are using more than one application? Or 2 or more applications, which is a good sign of adoption. So if an app comes in, it onboards users, but those users are also using other apps. That's a good sign of adoption. Whereas if they just use one app, it's not a great sign, right? You never know. The users will be here, they're gone tomorrow. But if they're using other apps in the ecosystem, it's a great sign that something is keeping them and keeping them sticky to the ecosystem.
Yeah. Okay, talking about the product market fit, also like how you balance between the feedback of the developers or the user between the innovation that you want to do. Do you just want to focus on your vision about your product, or you adjust all the time, and then how fast you adjust it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we're finding that it's not 50, it's never 50-50, right? It's always going to shift. We are known as the most innovative chain in the space. We're always inventing new things, ZK login.
Yeah.
Like our job is anticipating the need of developers. It's not good that we're always behind, right? Like we feel like we're sufficiently ahead, being able to invent new things that developers can use. And then we'll take feedback from devs on how to make that building experience better. So it's a bit of both, right? I think the great thing about a community project like Sui is we don't have to do everything. There are tools that devs need all the time. Well, guess what? There are grants set up to help developers build those for the community. It's better that it's not us or the Sui Foundation or other people. It's a community building tools that the community needs, right? So that's also great. It means that we can focus on innovating and solving really core problems, and the ecosystem can really take care of its needs around the edges as well. So it's great. It's very different from a public company, right? Where you almost have to build everything yourself. But it's a fully decentralized project. We have a contribution to the core system. Other people are now contributing to Sui core. In fact, many people have contributed to the core code base. And devs and tools all around the ecosystem, most of them are not built by us now. So it's great.
Yeah, I see that like a lot of startup projects, they can copy the product very fast. And the quality also good. But one of the challenge is they don't think out the box.
Correct.
And also they build the product just like copy, so they just don't base it on the demand of the user, or they don't really trying to solve any problem, but they just move to the trend.
Yeah.
How about Sui? When you start to build Sui network.
Yeah.
Right. What is the key?
Good point. I mean, I can touch on that.
Yeah.
When we left Facebook, one of the big decisions we chose, we made was not to use the Libra project that we built.
Yeah.
We didn't take the code base. Although it's open source, we were within the right to use it. We had a bigger vision of what we wanted to achieve. Libra was birthed at a different time, but we felt like we could go bigger. We needed something much more performant. Now we have another project that took that code base and launched, right? And you're finding that there's lack of innovation in that project compared to Sui. You find also in the space that there's also a lack of innovation. Everyone's just copying. Layer ones are forking other chains, or layer twos are just copying each other as well. No one's really innovating. And it's great for us because we have no technical debt. We started from scratch, we built from scratch, which is why we're able to constantly innovate. And that decision to start from the beginning and have our own product principles is what's going to propel us to success. We're very confident that if you look at the tech stacks of other chains, there's a lot of debt there, right? They're not going to be able to move as fast as we can. We're launching a version 2 of our consensus barely a year after the network is live. People take years to do stuff like that. We've innovated new consensus protocols in very short spaces of time, and we've implemented it, and we're bringing it to production literally almost 12, 13 months after the mainnet went live. So our ability to innovate surpasses every other chain. The ability for us to do things that are very valuable for devs surpasses other chains as a result. So if people are going to copy Sui, great, good luck, right? They will fork our chain, they'll copy it, and then they'll realize they don't know how to scale it or to add the additional features that we're always going to be innovating. Sui is not going to stay in one state. We'll always be adding new features, so they'll always be behind. So I welcome people to copy Sui as possible. In fact, the more chains using Move and the more chains using our code base, the better it is. It means there'll be less hacks, there'll be better user experience all across, right? We want to increase the size of the pie, but our goal is to always be thinking ahead and to be building things and anticipating the needs of developers. Whereas people who copy are really just trying to financially capitalize on someone else's success. And that's very limited.
But Sui and Aptos also, kind of same background from Libra.
The team behind Libra that built Libra was a team at Mysten, right? Sam invented Move.
Yes,
Sam is our CTO. Evan ran the research team. Evan Chung. Evan is an ACM computer science winner. That's a very decorated accolade to have by anyone. Not many people have it. George Denizes, we actually acquired this company at Facebook to come and build Libra.
Yes.
It's a powerful team, and Kostas Chalkias is, for me, one of the top cryptographers in the world. A lot of the crypto we did, all the crypto we did at Libra, he designed it. A lot of the crypto that we're using at WhatsApp and Messenger was by Kostas as well. So we had the most decorated team and probably the strongest team in Libra. In the entire company that were working on Libra was a team that went to build Mysten Labs. The Aptos team, good luck for them. There's a reason why you copy an existing chain and go out to mainnet. I have a lot of respect for that. Our goal was not to do that. We abandoned the project that we built and built something from scratch, and it shows. Today, Sui has way more traction. We have more users, more transactions. DeFi is a lot more healthier. We have more primitives to onboard users. We have no maximum throughput. They do. We have no restrictions to the amount of nodes we can run on our network. They do. They have the traditional challenges that other blockchains have. We don't, right? We have those restrictions. So I think it shows in the outcomes, right? Our team is very strong. We've innovated, constantly having new research publications on a week-by-week basis. It's just outpacing everybody else, right? So I think if you want to judge us, we're not, Aptos and Sui are not the same. Different projects entirely, and different philosophies entirely, and wish them all luck. I think the great thing is the fact that they're building on Move. The more projects that are supporting Move, the better. Movement Labs is another supporting Move, and I think that's great. Like I'd rather people build and Move than build in Solidity or build in the Solana virtual machine. I just think it's the right language for digital assets. I ultimately think Sui will win that battle because ultimately Sui was built ground up as an object system that developers can build very easily on. So it's already showing we have the best Move devs already building on Sui. And our goal is to win 9 million JavaScript developers over to building on Sui.
So what is your vision? Like how many builders that are gonna build on Sui in the next 3 years?
So like I'll tell you our long-term vision. Our long-term vision is anything to do with coordination of assets on the internet will be done on Sui. It's a bigger vision than just a blockchain. What sets Sui aside from other people is everybody else is just trying to be a chain. That market is small. Our vision is to be the other layer for the internet, which is a bigger market, right? Like if you're thinking of moving anything of value, you're going to need an indelible ledger to make that happen. And Sui will be that ledger. Only Sui can handle that kind of scale and that capacity. And our team come from companies that built search at Google, build Spanner at Google, build the infrastructure at Facebook. Everything that requires scale, our team is behind that, right? Databases at Oracle, virtual machines at VMware, you name it. The really hard problems that people need to build, our team have that background and pedigree in building it, which is why Sui is very differentiated. So we've taken all the knowledge that we've built over years at the top companies in the world, and we've attracted the best talent, and we're continuing that project as a whole.
So what is the biggest challenge in the early stage of Sui?
Early challenge is in fact, when we first started, we did not know we were going to build a layer one, right? We thought, okay, well, we've done well with Libra. Can we build a layer 2 on top of Libra? We're thinking of Libra version 2 eventually as well, right? Is there a Libra version 2 to be built? Should we go and help an existing ecosystem to scale? That's another thing we looked at, right? We looked at existing ecosystems. What can we do to fundamentally help them scale? It was a directional thing. Like, what direction do we take? And after speaking to everybody that we could have spoken to, it was very, very clear that there's a big gap in knowledge between multiple teams in the Web3 space. And we felt the right approach was to start from scratch. So if anything, we had to make a big bet on the company to say, we are going to do what's not been done before. We're going to build 2 consensus protocols at the same time while trying to launch a developer platform. Redesign Move from scratch. Redesign consensus from scratch. Redesign storage from scratch. Like it's insane to try and take that kind of risk. But the biggest thing was taking the risk, right? It could have failed miserably. We bet the entire company on taking such a big risk, and it paid off. Would I do the same thing again? Probably yes, because we're crazy as a team. But the idea of just having a substandard product was not something any of our team was interested in. So I think that's probably my answer to that question.
So is that the crazy bet, or you do believe that it's gonna happen as your vision?
I think it will happen per our vision.
Okay.
One, the more and more we're in the space, and the more builders that come in, the more convinced we are that we've made the right decision. We do think digitization of assets is going to be, in fact, everybody understands it's going to be the thing. But who is building the platform to make that happen? There's nobody else doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody is copying each other, or
Yes.
taking the same architecture approach that doesn't scale. We've come into it with fresh eyes. So I feel Sui will be the winner there. Like, of course, I'm the CPO of Mysten. I'm going to believe that. But I just don't see anyone else with a product vision for what they're trying to do. They're literally all building infrastructure for infrastructure's sake. We are literally trying to help developers win a new market as a whole. And that goes beyond just intelligence.
So besides Sui, is there any other change or platform that you see that they can create the same kind of adoption?
Adoption, I think chains are good at adoption. If you think about Ethereum, Solana, they've done a really good job in adoption, but adoption of what kind of customers, right? It will be most chains fight over the same customers, and I think that's fine and that's healthy. Our vision is grander. I think we will win the traditional Web3 users. It's already showing. We're the fastest growing non-EVM based chain. But our vision is grander from that. We want to win the 2.5 billion people with Google email, the billions of people using other forms of login. Anybody that has a privacy chip on an iPhone to sign transactions, we want to win them too. Anybody that plays video games, we want to win that, right? So that is our vision, and we're going to acquire users through gaming. We'll acquire them through payments. We'll acquire them through other types of assets, and they'll be using Sui. There are many apps in Sui today. When you log in, you don't even know you're using Web3. It's just log in with your normal account, and then you're in. You're transacting, you're trading, you're buying assets, you're selling assets. There should be no difference between Web2 and Web3 from a user perspective. That's why I think Sui wins, because we hide away all that stuff. And users don't have to worry about gas. They don't have to worry about high fees. All that stuff is hidden away in the back end for them.
Is that the reason why Sui focus on gaming for adoption? Focus on that?
Yeah, one of the reasons why we focus on gaming is it's very well aligned with the idea of digital assets and ownership. The idea that you can buy an in-game asset, you could trade an in-game asset, is something that gamers are already used to. Also, it's a frictionless experience to onboard into a game, right? So if we can win users, if games want to transition a world where assets can transfer freely between users, and all they do is simply, because if you remember, a lot of games, people are already selling accounts for games, right? If I've got to a level 5 in a game, right, and I want to move on, I can sell my account to someone else, and there's many scams as a result of that. Now, if you make it properly legitimate and just simply charge a fee for transferring of assets, then it means users are safer, but also the game studio can profit from the velocity of transactions in the game. So we think our platform is going to make that possible at scale. And if these games have 10 million users, 200 million users, that's already way more users than Web3 as a whole. But these users will be trading assets by using stable coins, using other form of assets. And they're using DeFi in the back end, but they don't know anything about DeFi. And that's how we grow the space, right? This is why I'm very confident that by our strategy, we win a lot more users to Web3 than any other chain. The idea of a wallet will be hidden away from them. If they want to have a wallet, they can. But for day-to-day use of playing their games, a wallet's not required.
So talking about gaming, Vietnam also like kind of big market for gaming. What do you think about Vietnamese project for gaming here? How good quality is, and also for the developers here?
Yeah, I mean, Vietnam is undoubtedly a big market for Sui, big market for Mysten Labs. Within the quality of devs actually quite good. I think one of the things they have to work on is on the go-to-market and marketing side of things. But generally, I think on the builder side, very, very strong. Also community side, it's a strong retail and community-driven market. Gaming is a massive market in Vietnam. Spoke to numerous gaming companies in Vietnam as well, or some of them who are really doing well in the Apple App Stores or the Android App Stores. The propensity to like innovate is very high here. We don't have any Vietnamese gaming companies on Sui yet, which we have to fix. Unless you count Wave Wallet as a gaming platform, but they're not only that alone. But that's a big opportunity for us. We've a lot of the top companies in Korea building gaming, already building on Sui.
Yes.
We'll be adding a lot in Japan as well, and we'd love to add some in Vietnam as well. But I think overall, gaming naturally is something that people are still testing. How do we make sure that users can onboard without friction? I think Sui offers that out of the box. And once you see these games do really well, then it's just going to be the normal progression. I remember when free to play was a worry for the industry. People thought, it's never going to work, and it's worked. I think similar to play and earn models or play and own models are going to be the future. And once people figure out how that works, everyone will start copying the model. Right? And we think.
But the thing is, like, always this lasts for a very short time. For example, GameFi is just like 6 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 project just like built, and they just like launch the token, and that's it, just go down, and then.
I'm not surprised that it failed, right? Because ultimately you had people building games that weren't fun and turned out to financial, right? Like if gaming should be fun, period. That's the first thing, right? So it's one thing to lose a game, but it's another thing to lose a game and lose money at the same time. We think people made the wrong decisions there. The games that launched on Sui are traditional fun games to play. And the element of crypto is facilitating ownership of assets, facilitating governance, and some of them have an element of earning involved, but it's not the primary element of the gaming experience. So we particularly pick studios that are building fun games, that have experience in building fun games. Anyone that's overly financializing, we're not interested. They'll build, we're not, like, it's not our job to support that. If you can keep people engaged and keep them having fun, and you extend the shelf life of the game, that's a win, right? The job of a Web3 platform is to extend the shelf life of a game, and allow users to extract value. More value of a game could be more playtime, owning of assets long term, the ability to perhaps market some assets that I've customized myself, or show off my history, right? To show that I'm the best gamer and I've received this reward as a result of being the best gamer. So I think that approach of just GameFi that they tried out was not really fun.
I tried so many games and it's like so boring. It's like
not fun.
Click.
You're done.
And then, after 5 minutes, I don't care,
It's not retentive. It's not retentive. Yeah. So those games will not last. I'm not surprised that it failed.
Yes. Also, like talking about one of the big milestones for Mysten Labs, that you raised 300 million the last round at the 2 billion valuation. And then what is your experience for, raising fund at that big amount? Also, like, what is a big lesson for the new founder when they need to raising fund?
I think we did our Series A, we raised 36 million. We did our Series B close to almost a year later and raised 300 million. There are things, timing is everything. So the time you raise is a very important factor. If something is very hot and prominent, like AI, everyone's investing in AI right now, right? So it's either you're catching a trend or you're in a trend. We don't like the idea of trying to catch trends because you end up not being true to what you're trying to do. There are blockchain projects trying to say we're an AI project now because it's trying to catch a new trend, but they're not going to build an actual real project. Timing is everything. So know the time and try and capitalize on timing in regards to that. Also, be very opinionated about what you're building, right? Like, we went to VCs who are like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you make it EVM compatible? Okay, you're not a VC. We're not the VC that we want to invest in our project. We're very opinionated on what we're trying to achieve, and we stuck true to ourselves. Otherwise, you just be turned left, right, and center, and I think you end up not building a project that actually has value. Separately, know the VCs that add value. Many VCs can give money. Money ends up being actually quite easy to obtain if you've got a project that's prominent. But knowing the right partner for you is also very critically important. So for us, we had the right product, the right time to market. They saw that the team was very credible and that we're focused on long-term growth. So it was we feel like the field was an easy bet for them. We got to choose our investor as a result, right? We got to decide we'll take a check from you, but not from you as a result. And that's a good place to be rather than be in a desperate position. So I'd say know the time, be very opinionated about what you're building, know your stuff for sure. It's very important to be very well versed in what you're trying to build and have a plan that you can clearly articulate to an investor of why you're building what you're building and why it's going to succeed.
So during the time building the product, is there any big mistake at that moment that you would change it if you can have a chance, and why?
Not on the building side. I think on the community side, maybe for sure, because we hyper index on developers, but we did not really index much on the community side because we felt ultimately let's build a developer platform and over time we'll build a community. And I think we could have done it in parallel, and that's something we should have done differently. If I had to go back in time, I'd say would have invested a lot more in the community building aspect, in addition to building the dev aspect. But now we're in a world where the numbers don't lie.
Yes.
We're growing really, really fast. Of course, people say you should have done this, should have done that. But ultimately, hindsight is 2020 for sure. But I think community. I'd say I'll probably bog that down to the marketing aspect, right? Being able to market a lot better than we could have done previously, and now it's all come together a lot better. We've learned from our mistakes and we've fixed them to a large extent.
So, if you also can change one thing in Web3 or crypto in a snap, what would you change?
Too many layer ones, too much infrastructure, too much invested infrastructure, not a lot investment in having apps that add real value. I would say it's not unique to Web3. It's actually for every kind of industry that's hot. We had in the semiconductor space, everybody was a chip producer, a chip manufacturer. Everyone had a deck of a new processor. AI, everyone's building something, right? Not many things are different, right? So there's always an influx of money. There'll be an influx of people building the same stuff. Same thing with Web3. I think we've invested in infrastructure for way too long. We need to see the breakout apps for Web3. And I actually think the breakout apps for us, the breakout apps for Web3 is Web2 apps. That's going to be the breakout,
Okay. So for founders, a lot of sacrifice. What is your sacrifice when you build Mysten Labs?
My what?
Sacrifice. Personal life and work life. Is there any sacrifice in this journey?
I work all the time. I'm working all the time. Probably thing is I don't even count the amount of time I work because it doesn't feel like work, right? But I've got a family, so I've got to make sure I'm always on top of family time and things like that. So it's a hard balance to strike. Just like I'm here in Vietnam, my family back in America, they understand. But it's a sacrifice that you have to make for success. No one's going to push your project for you. You have to do it yourself. Success is going to come by having to make choices. And those choices sometimes are painful to make. But again, you have to remember that there's a balance to strike. It's always a balance. And I remember one of the things that people say is work-life balance, right? It's almost impossible to have work-life balance in a startup. It's impossible. You can try what you want, but it's not going to happen. If you want to be an unsuccessful startup, go for work-life balance, right? But ultimately, what you have to do is, really try to set time boundaries for the things that matter. Family time matters. Set time in regard to that. I think my friends see me a lot less than they used to, right? As a result, but summertime comes, we'll go out on a vacation together and we'll enjoy each other's company, then go back to building. But if you really enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work. I think that's where I really like to chalk it down as.
Is there any habit that help you to not burn out? Web3 is like crazy. It's so fast.
Yeah, I'd say the phone is the worst thing. Telegram is a big burnout. Like I always say, I try to stay off Telegram as much as possible. And I've turned off all my notifications. So none of my apps have notifications turned on.
Me too. I don't have any notifications.
Yeah, and also I've turned off the burger icon that shows
exactly.
Once I turn that out, my life's been better. So I respond when I want to respond. Or if I know someone's going to, I'm in communication with them, I'll check from time to time. But otherwise, I respond whenever I want, right? So that's the biggest change I've made, and it's been a big impact as a result. I learned it from one of my, one person I really respect, Naval. I can't remember his second name. He showed me that he turned his on notification on. I'm like, wait, why would you do that? And I realized actually that makes so much sense. And as a founder, I have more time to do things now as a result, right? So,
Yeah, I also love to read his book, Naval. It's amazing.
Oh, you know Naval? Great.
Yes,
okay, great. Yes.
I know. Yes. Like he shared a lot about his investment, also like his personal life, his philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that like he's super wise.
Yes.
Yeah, super wise.
That one thing I
Yeah.
took from him has been a
Mhm.
game changer. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
turn off notifications.
Yeah.
You have to go into the app and do that for every single app and just make sure it can't notify you. Life changer.
Yeah.
Absolute life changer.
Mhm.
You know, and nothing has fallen. The world hasn't ended from me missing a message. You know.
So what is the most important or impactful book that changed your life in the founder journey?
For me as a founder, honestly, the most reading I do is really online.
Mm-hmm.
Like I follow what people are saying on Twitter, what
Mhm.
people are saying on Discord.
Mhm.
Like I'm reading because crypto books almost make no sense
Yes.
because they're already out of date, right? Like the new thing or what
Yes.
people are working
Yeah.
on is literally a live
Mhm.
stream.
Mhm.
And I don't think we've ever had that world before where industry is effectively morphing right in front of your face and you have to be on top of it. So if there's anything, I select the people I listen to and I'm always learning and I make sure that I'm always consuming that information that's relevant to me in that respect, right? So it won't be a particular book because I think there's hardly a book that I can pick up that would teach me anything about crypto. But I'm immersed in the industry and that's the most important thing. It's always good sometimes to take a step back and see what's happening elsewhere. But crypto's fun in itself, right? Like it's we have funny characters. We have lots of interesting memes going on all the time. I've never seen anything like it. It's a lot of DJ activity for sure. But again, I think it's all in the spirit of community building. And I think a lot of the world can learn a lot from what crypto's done on community building. And I think that's stuff that would certainly transcend other industries. I firmly believe that, the model of crypto and tokens or digital assets is ultimately going to be how open source businesses monetize in the future. If you're building an open source project and you want to monetize, there's enough project that shows you this is the way to go. And I think crypto has shown that that's the playbook to take for open source projects.
Okay, so last question before we wrap up. What is your advice for the founders when they build from zero to hero?
If it's not a problem that you're passionate about, don't do it. I'm a product person, right? And I obsess about problems. That's the whole point of what I do. But if you're not passionate about the problem, you're not going to go to the depths that your competitor is going to go to. You're not going to be in a position where negative feedback can change your mind, right? Like for me, if I'm really passionate about what I'm trying to do and I'm very deep on the problem space, I'll go to the extra levels to know more about that problem and know how to solve it. So one bad feedback's not going to change your mind, right? I'm always going to be willing to listen to feedback, but I'm going to be undeterred about the direction I'm taking. So be obsessed about the problems, and if you're not obsessed and you're not passionate about the problem, remember I'm not saying solution, right? Solutions, there are many solutions to problems. If you're not obsessed about the problem space, don't do it. There are other ways. Be an employee, do something else, like find another job that you can do that you're passionate about as a result, because the life of a founder and the journey of a founder is not easy. It's not easy. It's comes with a lot of pain, comes with a lot of criticism. There are easier ways to make money, of course, but also, it's highly rewarding, right? Like if you can build something that people use day in, day out, right? Like to know you solved a real problem that people care about day in, day out is it's hard to pay someone for that, right? Like I would say for me, I don't see this as work. It's what I do I've been doing for the last, since 2012. I've been in crypto for a long time.
Yeah, you're so OG.
Yeah.
From like Bitcoin mining
all the way to now.
all the way from here.
Absolutely.
And like building the billion value project.
Yes.
So what's next after this? Like if, Sui is like super big, do you even think about become an investor, or what is the next journey?
I'll make a terrible investor, probably because I have too much opinions on that. I think for me, I don't mind like helping companies, right? Helping founders find their footing, give some advice and stuff like that. Investing is not my strong point in that sense. I like to be an operator. I want to operate. I want to do rather than just write the check.
You are the builder.
I'm a builder. For me, I think our journey is only 1% complete. Mysten has a long way to go.
Yes.
If our goal is to make the internet more decentralized, Sui is a starting point, not the end point.
Yes.
It's going to start with Sui, and we'll build multiple things over the life cycle of a company. And I think keep watching out for what Sui is going to do. I think we're planning to do some really amazing things in the next couple of months and years.
Can you share?
I wish I could, but I put it this way: if I had to give some alpha, I'd say our goal is to decentralize every piece of centralized infrastructure that the web has. If it's going to mean decentralizing how we do networking, we will do it. If it's going to mean decentralize how storage is done, we will do it. We've already decentralized how value is sent. So every piece of infrastructure you see that's run by Google, Amazon, Facebook, that they use to run it, we will build every single one of these systems over time, because we think that's going to be the world. Because smart contracts can't sign contracts with centralized entities. You need a decentralized entity for these things to operate with. And I would think we are the best set to build this piece of infrastructure, and so we'll do that 1% at a time.
AWS, Google,
everything like that.
Everything for Web3.
It will be built on Sui. Absolutely.
Wow, that's so big ambition.
Yes, which is why we say it's more than crypto, right? The crypto is just the beginning, right? That we will decentralize everything else that's required in that space. But it's not decentralized for the sake of decentralization. It's decentralized because we think we can build a better product. Right? Like we can build a better product as a result of decentralization, and that's what we'll do. Some services will always be centralized, and that's fine. But we think there are a class of applications that do not need a central authority, and we will build every single one of those. Yeah.
That's amazing. I really want to see it happen very, very soon.
You'll be with us on the journey. We'll share everything along the way.
I share the whole journey with Sui like for the last years, right? And I see the growth super, super fast for Sui. Yeah. Absolutely. And the community, so many projects, is fascinating.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We'll be very focused, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you.